Hello everyone, welcome back. It's Space Engineers Plus Me, episode 62. I'm Enigmius, and today we've got one of the good kinds of episodes. The kind where we've got all kinds of progress that we can talk about without any new problems creeping up to bite us on the ass. It's a very rare kind of episode, that's why it's one of the good kind, and very nice to enjoy every once in a while. Now we're looking at some footage that I just accumulated of the drill ship moving back and forth, digging a little bit deeper into the area that we've kind of set up between the drill ship itself and the track ship attached to the Atlas that's just kind of sitting there, doing nothing. It's been doing a lot of nothing for a very, very long time, but that's about to change. I made a number of changes to the track ship. We're going to take a look at those in detail, because they're exterior for the most part, which is kind of nice. We don't have to worry about running around inside a ship where you can barely see anything. You can just take a look from the outside and get a good look at things. And then we've got the gantry itself that we're going to take a detailed look at, because it's basically the last thing that we have to work on in order to get this thing up and running and on its way to Mars with everything that we wanted, so that if we find a spot that's going to be suitable for mining with the Atlas and the track ship and the drill ship, we'll be able to do that, and everything's going to be fantastic. And then hopefully shortly after that we'll have some blueprints and instructions for you guys so that you can build these in your own worlds or just copy and paste them. I would respect the hell out of anyone who had the patience to weld an Atlas from the blueprint, but maybe that's what some people are interested in doing, so that'll be available to them. But before we do any of that, we have to take a look at what we've got so that everything makes sense when it's all done. And the best way to do that is to get down on the ground level and take a look real time. So here we are down at ground level where all the cool kids hang out. We're going to kind of go bottom up and kind of take a look at all of the things that we've done to make this whole thing work since the last episode, all of the things that it's doing now, and we're going to end with a look at the gantry and the last little bit that we have to test and make sure that it works before we can say that the project is done and start doing the last preparations to head off to Mars. So that's kind of where we're at. Now, I already showed you a little bit here with the footage of the drill ship going back and forth at the accelerated speed. But the main thing here that I changed with regards to the drills is that I've staggered them. So instead of just one straight row, they're kind of offset back and forth, one block each time you advance to the next drill. And the reason for that is very simple. When it was just one straight row of drills, I was noticing that it was producing a lot of little pieces of ore, or in this case ice, and then leaving them on the ground, and the drills weren't in that spot long enough to pick them all up, so there's a fair bit of waste going on. So by staggering them, we've got basically the lead row of drills is producing a certain amount of stuff that's being left on the ground, and then the row that comes along behind it is also deforming the landscape, producing little bits to be picked up, and picking up a lot of the stuff that was left by the leading edge. So it's a little bit more effective in terms of picking everything up, getting it into storage on the drill ship so that we can move it up to storage in the Atlas as soon as it gets to the end, which we've got working. We're going to take a look at that momentarily. The other thing that I did just recently is I added the trash removal system right here. Very, very simple and straightforward. It's a conveyor sorter that's actually connected directly to the bottom port of a large cargo container in the middle of the drill ship. And then to that conveyor sorter, we've got 5 conveyor blocks, and then we've got all of our connectors attached to those conveyor blocks. I could have added another 5 connectors underneath, but I really didn't want it to extend down that far. Then it would be extending down as far as the drills, which I definitely don't want. I want it to be up and out of the way of the drills. And I also wanted it to be far enough away from the drills so there's a really good chance that whatever this thing is ejecting is going to despawn long before the drills come back over and pick it up again, because that kind of defeats the purpose. But there's only so much you can do short of actually moving it somewhere like out of the back of the Atlas itself. The whole idea here is we've got the conveyor sorter where you can select for yourself what you want to consider as trash. In this case, we've set it for stone. and automatically have it eject that stone so that you don't have to deal with it. If you wanted to get rid of stone and ice, you can do that. If you don't want it to get rid of anything, you can just turn the conveyor sorter off and it'll collect everything that it pulls up, which is sometimes what you want to do if you want to make gravel for whatever you use gravel for. Some mods make better use of gravel than the vanilla game, but we're playing the vanilla game, so we don't have many uses for gravel. So that's kind of the undercarriage of the drill ship. Now, the one thing that I want to point out before we start moving any further up is this setup currently, as it's moving back and forth, is not actually doing anything. It's too high up. It's basically been allowed to go back and forth so many times that it's already dug up everything it can without being lowered down. And that's exactly where I want it to be, so that we can start testing the mechanism that'll lower the track ship, which will in turn allow the drill ship to lower the drills and continue mining. But one thing that I want to point out here is if we come down here, we can't quite fit a solid block underneath the drill heads. Pretty damn close, but not quite. And we need to be aware of that, because if we can't lower it a full block worth, it's not going to line up properly up top inside the gantry where everything is going to be doing all the welding and the grinding and all that other stuff. So we just need to be a little bit cautious. Worst case scenario is we set it up so that when we initially drop it, we let it sit on the drills for a few seconds. The drills will clear the ground underneath themselves, and that will allow it to drop farther down. So that's, I mean, it's a simple solution, but oh, look at that, just to make a liar out of me, these two wise asses. Look at, just like the drills. But you get the idea. It's something that we need to be aware of going forward, so that we're not completely taken aback by what happens if the whole thing doesn't line up properly when we start dropping things. So I mentioned we got everything working so that now it's transferring stuff out of the drill ship, through the conveyors on the track ship, through the locked connectors, into the gantry section down here, and into the cargo containers in the Atlas. Now the problem from the last episode that was preventing that from working is that I had run all of the conveyors from the inside of the drill ship to the connectors here, and then we've got the tubes coming along here, and then they go up the conveyor blocks to the pair of locked connectors inside here. You can't really see them because they're all buried inside all that other stuff. And then along the conveyor tubes here to that conveyor block right there, and then that's where all of the conveyors stopped. I didn't actually go inside and run the tubes, connecting it to the containers, and that's why it wasn't working. So fairly straightforward fix. Just run more tubes and make everything connect, and then once we got that done, it worked flawlessly. As soon as it got to the end of its particular path, whether it was going forward or backwards, it would trigger the sensors that would cause these connectors here to come together and lock, and then immediately, as soon as they were locked, it would start transferring the contents of the cargo container. See, here we go. And is it going to lock? Anything that's in the cargo container now is being sent through these guys into the Atlas, where it's happily stored and refined as necessary. And then it releases and it starts going the other way. Simple, elegant, straightforward, the way it should be, even if the process to make it do that isn't necessarily as simple, elegant, and straightforward as we would like it to be. It looks like it's pretty slick, and we're going to run with that. That's going to be our story, and we're going to stick to it. That's the way it's working now. So we've got several million kilograms worth of ice in our oxygen generators being converted into hydrogen, because all of our oxygen tanks have been full for a long time. You can see inside the window, our hydrogen tanks are just over 25% full now. I don't think 4 or 5 million kilograms of ice is going to be enough to fill all of our hydrogen tanks. Fortunately, we know where to find more ice. So that's not that big of a deal. So that's the drill ship. I'm calling it done. I'm saying it's good. It does everything that we need it to do. We can let it be and not have to worry about it. The track ship is in a similar situation. It was designed when I kind of finalized in my mind how everything was going to fit together. I realized the track ship would be better served as just a really, really simple kind of straightforward thing. We didn't want a bunch of complicated stuff on that one, because that meant 3 components that had to manage complicated systems in order to work properly. So the track ship basically is just a place to trigger sensors, to carry the drill ship and to connect the conveyor system from the drill ship to the Atlas itself. That's what the track ship does. And in order to do that, the only other thing that we have to let it do is fall and survive the fall one block at a time. Very, very simply and straightforward. It's not difficult to make it fall. Where the challenge comes in is in reconstructing it. And I mean, it could fall and be in perfect shape after it falls, no damage whatsoever. We still have to grind things off and then re-weld them in different locations so that it's ready to fall again the next time. That's where the challenge comes in. Fortunately, we've done some proof of concept work previously. If you were around for that video, it was a while ago. We've been working on this whole thing for a very long time, but we've tested it so that we know it's possible to set it up, and we're going to take just a quick refresher on exactly what that involves so that you know what I'll be testing tomorrow. And if it works out, the episode after is going to be the, hey, look at the ship that we're taking to Mars episode. If it doesn't work, it's going to be the, hey, look at the thing that doesn't work episode. One way or the other, we're going to make it work. It's just a question of how long it's going to take us. So the whole idea here is we've got, I call it a tab, and I'm not sure that's even the most accurate way of describing it. This is the actual model that I use to make the blueprint for the tab, because the blueprint is necessary for us to weld up the whole system. It's basically a column in the middle of conveyor blocks with a connector on top, and then down the sides we've got, actually these are some of the 2x1 angled blocks that are specifically chosen so that we can get connected on 5 sides. We can connect things together on 5 sides, but this front side here doesn't actually connect to anything, and that makes it a little bit easier to manage how things are going to pass through the gantry as it's falling without having to worry about things getting hung up. And this is kind of a handy way to do that. So we chose that for a specific reason. And we've got a pair of merge blocks here on either side, and these are necessary for merging the tab and the track ship to the Atlas so that it's basically well secured and capable of carrying the drill ship as the drill ship is moving back and forth. And that's it. And then we've got these cross pieces here that are responsible for stopping it when it falls. When we release it, it's going to fall one block. It's going to stop these guys. These guys are going to stop it from falling any further than that one block. And then we grind down certain bits and we replace them with certain other bits to basically reconstruct it in a different position so that it can fall again. Now, to look at that in context, now that we've seen it without all of the gantry stuff around it kind of confusing things, we can carefully, without flying face first into it, we can see this is the merge block here, the bottom merge block, and then this is the merge block above it, and this is the merge block on the Atlas side that is holding this merge block. And then there's another one on the other side as well, preventing it from falling. Pretty straightforward. When we want to lower the track ship, we release these merge blocks. It falls, as I mentioned, and we can get up here without smashing our head. It falls onto these cross pieces, which land on these pieces right here. So it can only go down one exact block, and then it gets stopped by these pieces from falling any further. And then we've got these landing gears that engage and lock so that the track ship is now detached from the Atlas. It's not considered to be a part of the Atlas anymore because it's not connected by merge blocks, but it's still being held in position so that when we start grinding things down, we don't have to worry about falling all the way through. These guys here were an integral part of this solution of making this whole thing work. So after it falls one block, these guys lock onto it so that it gets stuck in one position. Then all the grinders basically spring to life, grind off all the bits that are necessary, and then the welders, using the blueprint that is overlaid on top of the tab at all times, re-weld it so that it's in the position that it's in now. That's the gantry mechanism that allows us to extend this basically as far down as you have materials to keep re-welding the new bits on top. Every time you re-weld it, you have to add 2 of these angle blocks that we looked at and a conveyor block. That's basically the cost to add a new layer to the whole thing. And then if you've got materials inside your ship, you can keep doing it as long as you want, theoretically. Realistically speaking, you're only going to want to go down so far before all you're going to have left to mine is stone. You're going to have to pull things up and basically start over. And that's where things are likely to get a little bit crazy, because the system isn't designed to help you pull up the track ship in any way. It's just designed to help you lower it. And that's kind of the way that it's going to have to be. In terms of actually removing the track ship from the whole mechanism, it's going to be a pretty simple, straightforward process. It's not going to be this drawn out, got to build a whole new ship thing, because the track ship is so simple. And that's kind of tying into what we were saying. There's a reason we wanted it simple, and that's so that if something happens to it, or if we have to move it and we need to remove it from the ship to do that, it's not a pain in the ass to do. It's very simple, straightforward, especially if you've got a construction ship that can make the blueprint welding process go by that much quicker. So it'll be very quick and easy to assemble a new track ship in the right position from the blueprint that we made from that track ship right there, and carry on about your business as though nothing happened. So as you can see, once we get this last little bit, the dropping, grinding, and welding of this segment here to allow us to lower the track ship, it's done. It's finally done. Everything that we wanted to do is done. We'll be able to make sure that all of our tanks are full of hydrogen. We'll get a lot more ice in the process of testing the gantry to make sure that it works. Now we're going to take... we're probably not going to take the fully assembled drill ship or track ships with us. We can create blueprints from them, and we could re-weld them on the spot when we get to wherever we're going and we decide that we want to do some mining. And then we're going to finish grinding down what's left of the Dauntless, the empty shell that is the Dauntless. This guy and this guy, obviously. And then we're going to put the Spectre Omni on the back of the Atlas, and we will be off to Mars. There it is. Didn't take long to find it this time. So I'm getting a little bit excited. It's finally, we've got so little left to do to make everything work together, and things are working. It's not just a series of failures one after the other, as we're working out the kinks as we go, and things are becoming working systems that actually work pretty well. So the next episode, like I say, it's either going to be the look at the ship we're taking to Mars, or the look it doesn't work yet, but this is what we have left to do. And I hope you stop by and take a look at it, because it's going to be pretty cool. So if you want to be notified when I add that one, you can subscribe to my channel or follow me on social media. Links for social media in the information box below the video. Feel free to leave your comments and feedback. Thanks for watching, guys, and take care.